Did you ever convey to Dr. O'Connor that a particular finding wouldn't be portrayed favorably in the media?
No.
Are you aware of anybody conveying that kind of information to Dr. O'Connor?
No.
Did Dr. O'Connor ever opine on media strategy regarding the release of information regarding the president's health?
I remember him being pro-transparency.
Do you recall, were you ever made aware of conversations of anyone in communications speaking with Dr. O'Connor about how particular findings or medical treatments could be conveyed in the media?
No.
Have you ever spoken with Nancy Pelosi about the president's ability to do the job, or his age, or his health?
No.
Have you ever spoken with anybody in her staff regarding those matters?
Yes.
Who did you speak with?
I don't remember his name, but he was acting as her spokesperson when we were in communication.
And what was the nature of that conversation?
It had to do with a Wall Street Journal story that we agreed was unfair.
What was unfair about that story?
That it was slanted.
Can you expand on what you mean by slanted?
It was disproportionately influenced by political opponents.
And what did you convey specifically to the spokesperson about that story?
That we had the sense the journal had a preferred angle, and they were giving undue latitude to Republicans who had a political interest in that angle.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. And you see that, folks, right there is the problem. Democrats, if it comes from the other side, they just don't believe it at all. Nothing whatsoever. It could be 100% factual, right? It doesn't matter the slant of the article. If everything is factual, all the sources, everything that's cited lines up with reality and they're telling the truth, what does it matter the political bias of the outlet that is reporting on the news? Once again, if the news is the news, the political bias doesn't matter. The problem is when they slant their phrasing in these news articles, which we cover on a consistent basis. You guys know this. Anybody that follows the channel knows this. This is what I do, folks. I analyze news. That is pretty much my second job, if you will. I analyze the news and figure out how they're trying and in which ways they are manipulating you guys. I think it's all enlightening if you ask me, but I love this. We're getting into a little bit of substance here. We're going to see where this guy's brain is actually at, or maybe it's not, right? Maybe it's not even there. Maybe he's not even thinking, because that's sure is what it seems like with these people, that if they get any right-wing news whatsoever, do not believe it. It's just false, just right off the top. Boom. It's all fake news. Right? It can't be all fake news, right? Once again, folks, like all the news that I cover, the truth is splotted out all in between all the manipulation, right? There's a lot of manipulation, but there's a lot of truth in a lot of it as well. And that's just, it is what it is, folks, that we just have to deal with that and kind of work around all this. And that's what I do, essentially. But you guys smash that like button for me, subscribe if you're new around here, share this video anywhere and everywhere you can, click that join button, sign up and become a member, and let's get it, y'all.
And what did the spokesperson convey back to you with regard to that?
He arranged an interview with Speaker Pelosi, and after the article published, her comments were omitted, and he told me that she was offended by that.
What was the Wall Street Journal article about?
It was about what it is like to work with the president in private.
And what did the article say it was like to work with the president in private?
I don't have it in front of me.
It's a long article. It says a lot.
But you remember enough to say it was slanted.
Yes.
Sorry, and just so I understand, so the article was published, and then you called the spokesperson for Speaker Pelosi?
We were in touch before it published and after.
Okay, let's start with before. What were you communicating in the before conversation?
What I outlined.
Okay, and the spokesperson was, this is the conversation before the article was published, and the spokesperson during that conversation conveyed what back to you?
That former Speaker Pelosi was going to have a conversation with the reporters.
Okay, and then the article was published, and you spoke with the spokesperson again, correct?
Yes.
And what did you convey in that conversation?
We were agreeing that the story was presented unfairly and relied very heavily on sources from the opposite political party. And he told me that she was offended that the journal did not include her comments.
Did the spokesperson convey to you what former Speaker Pelosi said during that interview?
It was roughly that she defended the president and his ability to do the job effectively.
And very roughly, if you can, do you know when roughly that story was published?
I believe it was in May of last year.
Have you spoken with Senator Schumer, about the president's age, ability to be president, or health?
No.
Have you spoken with anybody from Senator Schumer's office about these matters?
Yes.
Who did you speak with?
Monica Lee, a member of his communications staff.
Anyone else?
I believe there was one other, but I don't remember his name.
When was the conversation with Monica Lee, or if there were multiple, when were those conversations?
I don't remember how many there were, but the main thing I remember is that it related to the same Wall Street Journal story.
I see. Do you remember if it was prior to publication or post-publication?
Prior.
And what were you talking about with Ms. Lee?
It was similar to the conversation with former Speaker Pelosi's spokesperson about the nature of the story.
Did Senator Schumer sit for an interview?
I don't believe he did. I believe they gave a statement.
And were you, in that conversation, were you raising concerns that the story was going to be slanted?
Yes.
Why did you think the story was going to be slanted before publication?
The story, in a sense, admits it is slanted because it explicitly grants that it is mainly drawn from Republican sources.
Did you believe that more Democrats should be interviewed for that story?
I did.
Did you make suggestions about which Democrats should be interviewed?
Yes.
Who did you suggest?
I remember suggesting that they go back to Senator Murray and Congressman Meeks because we were concerned that we'd heard that when those individuals were approached, they were only asked if they could corroborate claims that had been made by Republicans, and they were not given a real opportunity to share their firsthand experience.
Did you suggest that they speak with anyone else?
This was happening because the Journal had approached them specifically. I don't recall this happening with regard to those two members in other settings.
And just explain to me how this works. Is it standard practice to, were you conveying that message to reporters directly?
Which message?
To return to Senator Murray and Congressperson Meeks?
I did convey that I thought this would be fair.
And were there, is it standard to tell reporters to re-interview people?
I did not tell them to do anything.
Is it standard to suggest that they do re-interview certain individuals?
If you feel that there has been a significant omission that could distort the nature of the reporting, absolutely.
Oh, I'm sorry. I did want to return. I have a follow-up question regarding Ms. Tomasini. I'm still a bit confused as to why you would be speaking with Ms. Tomasini about the president's age, health, ability to be president when she was director of Oval Office operations. What about that position would give you any insight about the president's age, health, or ability to be president?
Reporters would ask us what it was like to work with the president, and any person in that role, whatever the administration, will work with the president a lot.
And Ms. Tomasini also was frequently accompanying the president, even in his travel, is that correct?
She would accompany him on travel sometimes.
And she would be in the residence with him as well, is that correct?
I don't know the particulars of that.
Did you have more to say?
There could be moments where people went to the residence. I'm not saying otherwise, but I don't know about when people were in the West Wing or not.
Did you get the impression, though, that Ms. Tomasini was helping the president in his day-to-day doing of his job?
No, not, I mean, with the exception that not outside of what would be normal for any person in those jobs, whatever the administration.
One more follow-up on Ashley Williams. When you were explaining your conversations with her related to the president's health, age, or ability to do the job, you mentioned discussing logistics and media optics. Could you explain what that discussion was about?
Reporters would sometimes ask us about schedule and how it might affect perceptions, or they would ask us about something that they had heard took place on a trip, and so we would discuss those things.
Did you ever speak with Hakeem Jeffries about the president's age, health, or ability to be president?
No.
Did you ever speak with anyone in his staff about that?
Yes.
Who?
Christy Stevenson, the communications advisor.
And what was the nature of that conversation, or multiple conversations if there were?
We spoke because of the Wall Street Journal story that we have discussed.
And were you conveying similar concerns?
Yes.
And what did Ms. Stevenson tell you during that conversation?
She told me that Leader Jeffries was interested in doing an interview. And then after the interview took place, she called me to express frustration with the reporters because as had been the pattern that we'd identified with interviews they'd done with other Democratic members of Congress, the focus was overwhelmingly on negative claims that had been made by Republicans, instead of giving Leader Jeffries, as someone who had worked closely with President Biden, an opportunity to give his experience.
What I can basically gather from all that is these people were very, very mad that journalists were actually doing their job and they weren't just taking talking points that came down from on high and just rolling with that. That's what I'm getting from that, because somehow he can seem to remember discussions about when reporters are doing a bad thing. Oh, he's very, very knowledgeable about that, can expound upon that really well and articulate just about everything. But when it comes to talking about Joe Biden's mental faculties actually being bad, no, as a matter of fact, I don't remember any of these things, to be fair. Like, it's nonsense. Like, they're just lying. He's lying about everything right here. Like, seriously, it sounds like they were whinging about reporters actually doing their job. That's what it sounds like, because everything is just talking with this staffer and talking with this staffer about, oh, the impropriety going on in the media and the unfair nature of the journalists' questions, and they weren't taking our talking points, for crying out loud. Like, that's just so funny. I find that so freaking hilarious, because this is the exact thing that Republicans deal with 100% of the time, coming from journalists. For goodness sakes, these journalists aren't worth anything these days, folks. They just, once again, generally speaking, they take talking points. I'm so glad we have opposition media these days, places with actually independent journalists that will actually get out there and ask the tough questions. I mean, the Wall Street Journal seemed to have done a pretty good job on this, but look, check this out. I was curious, so I went and searched for this news article. Check it out. Look, I've got the headline right here. How the White House functioned with a diminished Biden in charge. Yeah, of course they're going to be pissed off about that, because you guys are walking around inside the White House discussing with each other Biden's his IQ that's over 9,000 for some reason. Oh, he's performing at such a high level. Yeah, is he performing at such a high level for humans, or is he performing at such a high level for somebody with dementia? Like, seriously, like, I wish those investigators would have asked that question. But it's so funny. Check it out. Aides kept meetings short and controlled access. Top advisors acted as go-betweens, and public interactions became more scripted. The administration denied Biden has declined. And they was telling the truth about one thing. It's a very, very long article, and it is not very nice to the White House, to Biden's White House, as a matter of fact. They got all kinds of... But look, what's funny, though, is he kept saying everything was coming from opposition, from the Republicans. But you go read the news article. I'm not going to do that here, because that's not what this is about, folks. But you go read the news article, and I'll put a link down in the comments or whatever. Hang on just a second. They're not really talking about too many Republicans. Sure, Republicans are mentioned. Yes, as a matter of fact, they are. But also, mostly Democrats, mostly Biden's aides are mentioned. And things that the reporter just so happened to notice as they were walking through the White House and asking questions and this nature of that and blah, 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 blah. They just gathered their own information, basically, and they didn't listen to the talking points that were coming down from Anita Dunn or whoever it may be that was actually writing out talking points or typing out talking points or just creating them out of thin air. Because if you notice, a lot of the talking points that actually were circulating at that time didn't make any sense at all. Like, oh, Joe Biden's working very diligently on behalf of the American people. Like, now, hang on just a second. We're looking at all his actions, and he is actually working against the American people in many, many aspects, right? Many different respects. He doesn't seem to care about the Constitution. He doesn't seem to care about the court system. He definitely doesn't care about the southern border and our own sovereignty, for goodness sakes. He doesn't seem to care about anything that average, everyday Americans seem to care about. He just does what he wants to. That's what it seemed like from our perspective. And they were getting a good taste of our perspective with that news article right there, because we were seeing Joe Biden actually decline. He'd come in right at a low bar already. He was already showing signs of dementia, and then it just went downhill from there. So when I heard that he decided to run for 2024 to be the president until he was 84 years old, I do believe he would be, or 85, I forget, one of the two. Doesn't really matter at this point because he dropped out. But anyway, when I heard that, I'm like, there is absolutely no way. I predicted that here on this channel. If you don't believe me, go through my video archive. I predicted that he's going to drop out. There is no way this man can run a whole nother campaign. Not only that, but serve another 4 years in the White House and still sustain this narrative that he's a dynamo in the background. It's going to be impossible. There's not going to be a way to be able to do it, right? You can try to pull off a weekend at Bernie's situation for as long as you possibly can, but the gig was up at this point. We already know, right? The clothes were gone. The curtain had fell. I don't know how many more metaphors I can use on that, but we already saw the emperor had no clothes. They were gone. We saw that well before that debate. It was so shocking, the response after that debate, as a matter of fact, where you had somebody, I forget the guy's name. I remember reporting on this, but the guy's name, I'm mad because I can't remember it, but basically, he posted on X before the debate started that Joe Biden's going to walk on stage, rip his shirt off, like slam a Red Bull or something like that, and destroy Donald Trump. And then after the debate was over, he posted, "What WTF did I just watch?" That's bad. And I was like, these people just didn't pay attention to Biden at all. They would listen to his aides or listen to, other congressmen, any other Democrats or anything like that, tell them that Joe Biden is sharp, he's there, he's focused, he's uniquely focused, he's blah, 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 he's a dynamo in the background, he's this, he's that, he's everything else, and a box of rocks. All of it, folks. And they didn't actually pay attention to the man himself. And once again, it was people like this guy, Andrew Bates, that when something would come up that Joe Biden would gaffe or shake hands with a ghost, they would say, well, no, that's just a cheap fake. That's just selectively edited Republican opposition media. That's all that is right there, right? That's just fake news. They would call reality fake news and just go on about their business, and these people just bought right into that, folks. This is why the appeal to authority should be crumbled up and thrown in the trash. Never appeal to any authority figure at all. Always verify for yourself, right? Even somebody like me that goes to great lengths to verify information in this country, I can still get things wrong. If you want information on something that I cover, go verify it for yourself, because that is the best way to make sure you're getting the correct information, right? Don't ask AI, because AI is opposition media, essentially, because that AI learns basically from everything that it can absorb. And if it's on the internet absorbing fake news, then it's going to spit out, right? What goes in must come out type of thing. If fake news go in, fake news come out. It's exactly how it is, folks. So we must do research, verify our sources, right? Double check those sources, and then double check those sources, right? And then get another source and triple check your sources. As a matter of fact, that's what I do. Once again, every news article I cover, I read left, right, and center. I always read 3 news articles for the same story every single time. And not only that, I also do basic fact-checking research when I cover news. Y'all go check my news out, by the way. But it's fascinating. These people are mad because journalists were actually doing their job. Because these people are not cultists like this guy is. Right? They're not cultists. They can see that Joe Biden, hang on just a second, this guy looks like he's freaking senile. Let me go do a little bit of fact finding here, a little bit of digging in on this. And they were getting mad about that, folks. They were getting absolutely mad that these journalists weren't just taking the talking points and saying, okay, thank you very much, and running with those talking points and just publishing talking points. They were mad that journalists were actually doing the job. That's so fascinating to me. Wow, is all I can say about that. But I think I've rambled on for long enough. Y'all let me know what y'all think about all this down in the comments section. Once again, y'all don't forget to check out my regular videos where we go over news and politics, and I show you how you're being manipulated. We kind of analyze all this news because, folks, it's sad. It's a sad state of affairs. You must agree with that somebody would have to go and read news, and not only read it, but analyze as they're reading to figure out, hang on, am I being manipulated on this? Is the truth something different than what they're insinuating? Most of the time it is, as a matter of fact. It's so funny. And it's sad. Once again, sad state of affairs this country is in, y'all. It really is. I talk about it all the time. But anyway, like I said, I'm trying to wrap up this video. Y'all smash that like button for me. Subscribe if you're new around here. I'd love to have you guys on board. It'd be great. Be so great. It'd be the best. Like nothing you've ever seen. As a matter of fact, share this video anywhere and everywhere you can. Click that join button, sign up and become a member, especially if you want to see a channel like this. Somebody that actually reads the news, figures out what's going on in this country, and figures out how you're being manipulated. If you want to see this channel expand and grow, click that join button and become a member for exclusive content. I just have to say that. The boss tells me to say that, which is me. But anyway, you guys do all that. And remember that, God has a plan for everybody. If you're feeling down and out or you're feeling lost, talk to God. He will respond, I promise. Just talk to God. He has a plan for everybody. There is something waiting in the wings. If you feel like you don't have any sort of compass in life, you don't know where to go, turn to God. I promise. Will make things better. You will have purpose, you will have drive, you will have faith in everything, folks. But once again, folks, y'all try to have a good day and stay legitical. Peace.